Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. Molly is a friend.
They said that it was merely another tale about an ESPN contract, and that another host was discreetly departing the network. However, recently leaked video of Stephen A. Smith and Molly has gone viral on the internet. Footage that demands responses rather than merely posing queries. Why didn't Molly provide a warning before leaving? What was Stephen A. concealing on the set? We reveal the startling footage that ESPN did not want you to see tonight, and why the face on the first tape might undergo a complete transformation as a result of this viral moment. ESPN was rocked by the sudden departure. Due to recently leaked video of Molly Querim and Stephen A. Smith that went viral and the ensuing dramatic consequences, the internet is currently on fire. There is more to this celebrity gossip than meets the eye. This provides a glimpse of ESPN's most potent collaboration breaking down in real time. Additionally, what you're going to hear will permanently alter your perception of Stephen A. and Molly. Consider it. Molly held the desk down for more than 10 years as the face of First Take. The following minute is gone. There was no send-off, no farewell, and no goodbyes to the viewers who had watched every morning for 10 years in a row. She didn't leave in style. She left nothing but unresolved issues and a deluge of conjecture in her wake. And now that this video has surfaced again, viewers are making connections that ESPN fervently hoped they wouldn't.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. Molly is a friend.
On live television, Stephen A. Smith choked while attempting to explain the inexplicable. He wanted everyone to think that this was just a contract dispute. However, the timing, the stillness, and the abruptness all shouted that something else was happening behind the scenes. So you and I know better. To be clear, this was not a smooth departure. Executives at ESPN rushed to present it in that light. However, the reality was acknowledged even by their own content president. They were totally taken aback by the timing. There was no send-off strategy for the network. Not even a replacement was prepared. The transition wasn't easy. This landing was an emergency.
This was an abrupt landing. This is an emergency exit. This is an emergency landing.
Why is the key question. Why would Molly jeopardize her livelihood, reputation, and profession in order to disappear overnight? Money is mentioned by some. Indeed, the numbers are important. Even after 20 years at the network, she refused to sign the deal that ESPN offered her because it was so demeaning. Recall that Stephen A. Smith secured a whopping $20 million deal for himself. She wasn't even given a little portion of that, Molly. Fans couldn't help but notice the hypocrisy when Stephen A. went on television and boasted about how he had pushed for other colleagues to get compensated. Because why didn't Molly get cut if he truly stood up for everyone? But the leaked tape reveals it wasn't just about money. Molly had been advocating behind the scenes for a larger position, her own program, and her own platform. She wanted more after years of serving as the moderator and taming two inflated egos. Additionally, ESPN refused to give it to her. She therefore didn't simply go when the contract negotiations broke down. She closed the door firmly. Furthermore, Stephen A. wasn't prepared for it. On his radio show, he said that Molly's decision caught him off guard and that she didn't even mention it to the man she had worked with for 10 years.
To be blunt, it came as a shock. I was not aware that this is something that she was contemplating doing. But in the end, she made her decision. And we have to move on as a show.
However, let's not act as though Stephen A. is an innocent spectator in this situation. Tensions rise, anger festers, and then it blows over when you're earning $20 million and the person seated next to you is told they're not even worth a fraction of that. The viral video enters the picture at this point. Clips of Molly leaving the set in the middle of a performance are going viral. Not kidding, not laughing, but just done.
Who are you going with?
Top 5.
Does he make your top 5?
Okay, I'm leaving.
Damn it, I'm going with Matthew Stafford in that case.
People dismissed it as playful at the time. But now, fans are rewatching it with fresh perspectives in light of her abrupt departure. Was that the start of the end, or was it just a gag? The reason for this is that Molly's stillness is quite loud. She's never done an interview. She hasn't revealed anything. Her Instagram story was the only source of information.
Now that the news came out earlier than I intended, and not in the way I hoped, to my First Take family, after much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter and step away from First Take. Hosting this show has been one of the greatest honors of my career.
It sounds professional and kind, but take note of what's absent. Stephen A. is not mentioned. There's only a brief farewell wrapped in appreciation, with no reference to ESPN officials. Additionally, that silence has stoked rumors that Molly wasn't simply quitting her job. She was leaving Stephen A. Smith by himself. According to some sources, she even desired separation from his over-the-top demeanor, his incessant self-promotion, and his control over every show. The outcome is indisputable, regardless of whether that is accurate. Fans are certain that the tension between Molly and Stephen A. was far more intense than anyone had thought based on the released footage. The most startling aspect is that we haven't even reached the video that ESPN does not want you to see, because the films you are about to view imply that Molly's leaving had more to do with her departure than contracts or professional goals. It might have been an attempt to flee a poisonous atmosphere driven by unbridled egos, money, and power. One theme keeps showing up repeatedly as you go deeper into this debate. Strength. Who owns it? Who doesn't? What occurs if the balance leans too much in one direction? Stephen A. Smith has been the unchallenged monarch of ESPN for many years. He is aware of it. The executives are aware of it. The audience is aware of it. He is more than just a pundit. The brand is him. Schedules for entire shows are centered on him. His voice, theatrics, and ability to control an argument are what determine his ratings. What does that mean for Molly? The woman who spent 10 years at the same desk. The woman who oversaw the mayhem each morning and took in Stephen A.'s verbal barrage against anybody dared to oppose him. She was more than a moderator. She served as the fulcrum that prevented the concert from becoming completely crazy. Nevertheless, ESPN treated her as though she were expendable when it came time to renegotiate. Executives acknowledged that Molly's departure was unsightly. They were aware that the money was off. They were aware that the offer was offensive. However, they chose to let her walk rather than fix it. Why? Because Stephen A. was irreplaceable in their eyes. Molly wasn't. You can learn everything there is to know about ESPN's culture from that icy calculation. They will invest millions in their star while telling everyone else to be thankful for scraps. Additionally, Stephen A. didn't support his argument. He boasted on television a few days prior to Molly's sudden resignation about how he had pushed for other network talent to get compensated. He portrayed himself as a defender of justice and a savior. But it's not just irony. It's treachery when the woman seated next to him is unable to even obtain a contract extension. Fans also witnessed it. Comments criticizing him flooded social media. Molly's bag will be the only one that Stephen A. will battle for. It's funny how he can boast about aiding Shannon Sharpe while disparaging his own co-host. Perhaps that's why his on-air farewell seemed so vacuous.